I.S.U.P.K. 53rd Annual Lord Passover.
53rd Annual Lord's Passover is going to be held down here in Florida.
It's going down.
You're here tonight to get a chance to be righteous enough to be worthy of God coming to save you and your
That's right.
It's going down. The Lord's 53rd Annual Passover.
When we say we no cowards, we talk that business. We no cowards up in here.
Book your hotels now at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, the IHG Hotel, 301 Tucker Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, 32926.
Here's a lot of men down. You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I shot it with the Lord of Wars.
Come to all your dishes, pots, pans, forks, knives.
I kind of like this. This is like an apartment and a hotel. You know what I mean?
This here right here is about to be holy ground. This will be holy ground. All our beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters from all over the world. You understand? We can boast that now. Brothers and sisters coming not only from every state, but from all over the world. I heard the numbers this year is ridiculous. We had to buy out the whole hotel.
Friday, April 15th at the Space Coast Convention Center.
My cap undefeated. You cannot debate. You just want the clout. We just want the grades. I'm just trying to get it.
This is going to be glorious.
We don't give a fuck. You can see it in our faces. Got it out the mud. Straight up out the base.
I.S.U.P.K.
Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua broke thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Latham Bashim Yahushua to the sisters. I'm Priest and Officer Shargapon.
And I'm Trooper Azarakia.
And right here, we have the official calendar of the Lord, the I.S.U.P.K 2022 calendar. Now, this has all the high holy days and feast days of the Lord. In the month of February, starting on the 14th, ending on the 15th, we have Purim. Now, we move forward a little bit to the month of April. On April 15th, we have the Passover. And then 7 days after that, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, as you can see right here. This calendar has no American heathen holidays on it, just the high holy days and feast days of the Lord. And if we go to the last page, we have an advertisement available for any black and brown business that you may have. All right? So if you want to promote your business on the I.S.U.P.K 2022 calendar, give us a call. I'm Officer Shargapon. This is Trooper Azarakia. You can contact us at 845-664-3132 or on email. That's onewestashargapon@gmail.com. That's ONEWESTASHARGAPAN@gmail.com. Don't forget, get your calendar today. Shalom.
Shalom. Tazaryak bringing you another commercial from Tazaryak Village Creations. I'm always doing new things, always innovating to keep y'all coming back, to keep the customers satisfied. As I always say, check out the reviews, all 5-star ratings, because we deliver such an excellent product.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has a minute once turned into a nightmare.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, Yahweh, Mashai, Brakathum. We're about to get started in 2 seconds. Real quick. Are we good? Make sure the mics are good. Check the mics. Check everything, and then we're going to get started. Check that mic right there. Check. Check your mic. Your mic is good? All right, let's get started. We the I.S.U.P.K started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been doing this since 1969 under Commanding General YAHANNA. Been letting the lost sheep, it's like been letting everybody know that we've been looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the 12 tribes of the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And today what we're going to do, we're going to go over the legacy of Martin Luther King. We're going to try to go through it quick because there's a lot to go through, but there's this article that we have that's like 9 pages, and I want to get as much as I can through the 9 pages because it's a lot of things that people, if you could, Ashar, real quick, answer that as General Muhammad. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to bring out, you know what I'm saying? And before we get started, I want to get this one scripture. Zakia, give me this scripture real quick, while you could. Can you give me Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29? Okay, God. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. When we start there real quick.
Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Read it again.
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Right. So the scripture says, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. Listen, that's one thing. If we learn anything from Martin Luther King to now, it should be what?
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Right. Let no corrupt communication proceed out your mouth. And Martin Luther King had nothing but corrupt communication coming out his mouth, telling blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that you couldn't wait to them to hold hands with your oppressor. Couldn't wait for little boys and little girls to be on top of the mountaintop, to go to school with white boys and white girls and white oppressors to do what? To still call you a nigger, to still call you a spick, wetback, to still lynch you, to still murder you. It didn't matter. For him to say that to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, it was what?
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Right, keep going.
But that which is good.
But that is what?
is good.
Well, it's good. That's the thing that's supposed to come out of your mouth. It says, but that which is good. And you know what was good? Segregation was good for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, man. Wall Street, Black Wall Street was great. It was good for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But when Martin Luther King came around, read it from the top, what happened?
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Right, corrupt communication came out of his mouth. And when his corrupt communication came out of Martin Luther King's mouth, you know what happened? We all started falling. We all became destroyed even more than where we were before. You know why? Because now you go into school with your oppressor. Now before you was at least with people you loved, people who cared for you, people who went through the same plight as you. But after Martin Luther King and his dream and his speech and his so-called wisdom and vision, you know what happened? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians start getting killed more, start dying more. You lost the money, you lost being your own, you're having your own police department, your own hospitals, banks, malls. Anything you think your oppressor had, guess what? You had, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian. Go ahead, Ashar.
Dentists, law firms, movie theaters, supermarkets,
Yeah,
departments, airplanes, airstrips,
right.
airports.
Listen, as we're bringing out, we did the same thing that our oppressors did, but guess what? We did it better. We did it so much better. Guess what? That they blew our towns up. Anywhere where Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were thriving, guess what? They had to destroy it because they know when Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians get together, you know what could happen? God might happen. Our King Jesus Christ just might so happen come down out the sky. If Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians start getting themselves together, we start loving each other. Guess what? God might show his wrath upon our oppressor. So guess what? He had to destroy that. We have to keep them together. We have to keep whites and blacks together in the same schools, in the same jobs, in the same prisons, in the same bakeries. We have to keep them all intertwined. As so much we hate each other, we need this to happen so they won't fall in love with each other once again. And then keep the laws of God and these laws, statutes, and commandments. But what the scripture says?
Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Right.
But that which is good to the use of edifying. That it may minister grace unto the hearer.
Yeah, listen, that it might minister grace unto the hearers. That it might cheer your listeners up, man. You know that time when you feeling down and you don't know how to make it through. Well, guess what? This good edifying. Guess what? You will make it through the week. You'll make it through the day because you're hearing something good, something that's edifying you to make it through another goddamn day in slavery. Instead of corrupt communication, you hear corrupt communication. You know what happens? You might kill yourself. You might be like, I can't take it no more because all I hear is negativity on Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. All I hear is that we won't amount to nothing. Hell, you listen to Martin Luther King, he tells you that, listen, ain't nothing better than being with white people. You be with white people, everything is good and glorious. Let's end segregation and let's go love some white people. You leave it to him. That was the God's greatest gift to fixing everything. When that was God, that was the gift of destruction, man. A gift of destruction was loving your oppressor. It's always have been. You love your oppressor. You know what he gives you? He gives you goddamn arenas for you to fight in. He gives you chains and a noose around your neck. That's the type of love he'll get you. And the thing about it, Martin Luther King knew about it, but he's just a lustful bastard that he didn't care as much for his people like he thought he did until his time was up towards the end, when he made that speech where I thought I might have let my people into a burned-in building, because he realized that his time was up. And all the lustful things that he has done is not going to help his people out. But before we go on, let me get this first article real quick. That's all right. Did I send you the article on let me see. The Face-to-Face Africa. Did I send you that one?
Yes.
All right, good. Don't read that one yet. I just want to see which one to start from. All right, we're going to start with... All right, we're going to start with the DexterKingMemorial.org, right? So what we're going to do here, right? We're going to explain... We're going to start from the beginning, right? We're going to start from slavery. We're going to start why, especially white women, benefited with Martin Luther King because he loved white women. He loved white women so much that he doesn't even realize that white women loved black men too during slavery. And I'm going to show you where that intertwines, right? We're going to go into that, and we're going to go into his church and people trying to stop his lustful legacy coming out. And then we're going to get into the lustful and awful things that this brother has done towards blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. All right. So let's start here. Let's start at the DexterKingMemorial.org, right?
Concert.
So read when you got it.
Come, concert. It says, the Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church was founded in 1877 in a slave trader's pen.
In a what?
Slave trader's pen.
Right. So this is why I wanted to start it here, because everything goes back to slavery. I want everybody to realize that no matter what it is, if it's against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, it started in slavery. So, right, his church that Martin Luther King used to teach and preach out of and do his sermons, where did it come from, Ashar? Read it again.
It says, was founded in 1877 in a slave trader's pen.
Right. So listen, his church started at a goddamn corner of a slave's place, at a slave trader's place. At that, he'll hear the sermon. And guess what? You'll be right there on the side of the goddamn loop, probably next to some pigs or some hens or some horses, preaching to the word of God. And guess what? That's where Martin Luther King's church started. And you might be in there hearing a sermon, and guess what? Your child might have got sold right after. You would have got sold right after. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. Located on Dexter Ave, formerly Market Street in Montgomery, Alabama.
Right.
Formed by a breakaway segment of the congregation from the Brick-a-Day First Baptist Church on January 30th, 1879. The church's trustees purchased a 50 by 110 lot for $270 on the corner of Dexter Ave and Decatur Street near the Capitol building as the permanent location of their church.
Right.
A small wood frame structure located on the lot was used for worship service and educational purposes. The current red brick building was constructed between 1883 and 1889. The church has a history of community service that spans well over a century. On October 3rd, 1887, the first registration of students for Alabama State University, then the normal school for colored students.
Read that again. I want people to know what it says. Alabama State University used to be called what?
The normal school for colored students.
You can't make that up, can you? You can't make that up, but keep going.
Was held in the lower units of the church. Over the years, it has served the community through the use of its facilities as meeting place for many civic, educational, and religious groups, and through its human resources. Much of Montgomery's early civil rights activity, most famously the 1956 bus boycott, was directed by Dr. King from his office in the lower unit of the church.
Right, keep going.
The church original name, the Second Colored Baptist Church, was later changed to Dexter Avenue Baptist Church after Market Street was renamed Dexter Avenue in honor of Andrew Dexter, founder of the city. In 1978, the name was changed to Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church in memory of its 20th pastor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who led the congregation from 1954 to 1960.
All right, you can stop there, right? So the main thing about this, right, this article, I want to show that where his church started from, right? Where from the beginning. So his church started from a slave trade's pen, right in the goddamn corner where the dust gathers up. That's where his church started from, right? All right, so we can move from that. Now, what we about to head into, right? We about to get into the influences that helped Martin Luther King be the person that he is today, right? So for one thing that helped Martin Luther King be who he is today comes from Gandhi. So we're going to read this portion first. So go to the npr.org website if you can. Now, I'm trying to move quickly through this because I want to get through the article that's 9 pages long, all right? So if you could have just read as much as you can.
Gandhi is deeply revered, but his attitudes on race and sex are under scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture of Gandhi here. When Martin Luther King Jr. visited the villa in Mumbai, India, where Mohandas Gandhi stayed in the 1920s, he had a special request.
Right.
He wanted to spend the night in Gandhi's bedroom.
In what?
In Gandhi's bedroom.
Listen, now remember, this is Martin Luther King. It starts off with Martin Luther King Jr. He's saying that Martin Luther King Jr. visited the villa in Mumbai, in India, where Mohandas Gandhi stayed in the 1920s. He had a special request. He wanted to spend a night in Gandhi's bedroom. And look, his lust is already started. I want to spend a night in his bedroom. Keep going, Ashar.
Concert. It was 1959, 11 years after Gandhi's death. The house called Mani Bhavan, where the Indian leader taught followers to spin their own fabric and where he launched a Satyagara, his movement for truth and nonviolent resistance, had been converted into a museum. In an austere top floor room where Gandhi's mattress and shoes still lay, King said he can feel vibrations.
King of what?
Feel vibrations of Mahatma or great soul. King was booked in a very good hotel, but he said, I am not going anywhere else. I'm going to stay here because I am getting vibrations of Gandhi.
Listen, and we about to find out what kind of vibrations of Gandhi that Martin Luther King got. Keep going, Ashar.
So curators hauled in 2 cots, and the American civil rights leader and his wife, Coretta Scott King, spent the night next to Gandhi's vacant mattress. Afterward, Martin Luther King told All India Radio that he decided to adopt Gandhi's method of civil disobedience as his own.
Listen, he wanted to do what?
Adopt Gandhi's method of civil disobedience as his own.
Keep going.
Now, 6 decades later, many black Africans are calling Gandhi a racist.
Which he was. Keep going.
Me Too activists are questioning his sexual practices.
His what?
Questioning his sexual practices.
His what?
His sexual practices.
Now, if you don't know, remember, Martin Luther King says he's gonna take on of Gandhi's practices. And what kind of practices he takes on?
Sexual practices.
Keep going, Ashar.
Hindu nationalists are rejecting Gandhi's vision of a pluralistic India that is strengthened by diversity. Gandhi is still revered. He helped win India freedom from British colonial rule in 1946. But as the world marks what would be his 150th birthday on Wednesday, some of his habits and teachings are facing fresh scrutiny.
Yeah, because they knew the true Gandhi. Everybody else saw the propaganda one where, oh, look at him, he's fighting and starving himself and walking across deserts and this for his people, when they know he was a lustful bastard. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern.
And a racist.
Gandhi was a racist. Last year, a Gandhi statue was removed from a university campus in Ghana. Activists there and in Malawi are using the hashtag Gandhi must fall. They're angry about his early writings. In 1903, when Gandhi was in South Africa, he wrote that white people there should be the predominating race.
That what?
White people there should be the.
So when Martin Luther King takes over the teachings of Gandhi, what does Martin Luther King teach?
White people should be the predominating race.
When I want black girls, little boys, little white boys, and little black girls to come together, what am I teaching?
White people should be the predominating race.
When I said let's give up all our black Wall Streets, our businesses, and our hotels to go to white hotels and businesses, what am I saying?
White people should be the predominating race.
Keep going.
He also said black people.
That what?
Black people are troublesome, very dirty, and live like animals.
So if I take the practices of Gandhi, and mind you, this is Martin Luther King. He said he's going to take the practices of Gandhi. He's going to look after all his stuff. I feel the vibrations of him. What does he think about black people, Ashar, when he takes over the practices of Gandhi?
Black people are troublesome, very dirty,
right,
and live like animals.
Keep going.
There's no way around it. Gandhi was a racist early in his life, says his biographer Ramachandra Guha.
Something, right?
Yeah. Gandhi, as a young man, went with the ideas of his culture and his time. He thought in his 20s that Europeans are the most civilized.
That they were what?
The most civilized.
The ones that went over and killed people were what?
Most civilized.
The one that killed our native Indian brothers because they were too nice and polite were what?
Most civilized.
That's what the Gandhi thought about our oppressor. That's what he thought about the Europeans, the Spaniards, the ones that opened your wife's belly with the child coming out, the ones that fed our kids to alligators as alligator bait, the ones that made our brothers and sisters work until the goddamn cartilage come out your goddamn bones were what, Ashar?
Most civilized. Indians were almost as civilized. And Africans were uncivilized.
See, so the thing about it is Gandhi thought black people were Africans when we're not even Africans. But for this context, he means black people were uncivilized. Keep going.
Gua, 61 years old, told NPR in an interview in May at his home in Bengaluru, India. However, he outgrew his racism quite decisively. And for most of his life as a public figure, he was an anti-racist, talking for an end to discrimination of all kinds, he said. That included gender discrimination. Gandhi championed women in politics, but he was also obsessed with his own celibacy. In his late 70s, before he died at 78, he slept naked.
He did what?
Slept naked.
So when you take over the practices of Gandhi, what you might do?
Slept naked.
Gandhi slept naked. Keep going. At 78.
With his grandniece.
His what?
With his grandniece.
So he slept with one of his relatives, his grandniece. Keep going.
When she was in her late teens.
In her late teens. Keep going.
He said he wanted to test his willpower to abstain from sex.
Listen, so when you take on the vibrations and the culture and what else, Ashar? The teachings and the principles of Gandhi, you might do what?
You might sleep naked with your grandniece when she was in her late teens. He wanted to test his willpower to abstain from sex.
And that's the man that Martin Luther King looked up to, man. That's the teachings he follows. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. Nowadays, most people would call that abuse. Some question whether the young female was capable of giving consent as a minor to a man who was so revered and so much more powerful than she. In 1962, when British filmmaker Richard Attenborough began researching what would become his 1982 Gandhi film, he asked Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first prime minister, how he should portray his late colleague. Nehru famously replied that Gandhi was a great man, but he had his weaknesses, his moods, and his failings.
Go ahead, Paratazar. Go ahead. See what you want to say something.
Salakia, I don't want, if I may, what he just read, which is so just so it seemed like it was like nonchalant, like that was their culture.
Right.
You know, that was like normal practice. Let me just practice on my great granddaughter and see if I have willpower to not touch her.
Right. Or what he
That's
could have just
normal.
did was just not sleep with her. Not just don't touch women. But that's one of the teachings and philosophies that the Gandhi had. And the problem with it is Martin Luther King took on his practices, took on his teachings. Ashar?
Yeah, what's the point of testing your willpower by putting yourself in a position like that?
Listen, and the thing about it, I'm trying to get to the article, but you're going to see the willpower that Martin Luther King has because he had the teachings of Gandhi. But what you can drop that, right? That's one of where he got his teachings from now, right? Go to the other article, the one for was face-to-faceafrica.com.
Yes.
Let me just bring it to my computer. But whenever you got it, you could start reading it.
Go on, sir.
All right, so this is another article where the influences of Martin Luther King comes from. And some of it is from slavery.
Concert.
Read what you got, Ashar. What this title says.
A look at the love affairs between enslaved black men and rich white women.
Right, keep going.
Concert. Here's a picture of two black men around the white woman.
Because you gotta remember, think about it. If you have the teachings of Gandhi, right? You already think that white people is the best people in the world. They're the most civilized. Well, black people is the on the bottom, the ugliest. They don't know what they're doing. So how come I can't look up to a white woman and this and that? And you gotta remember, if you don't know, it was like what 40 or 50% of slave owners were white women. Don't forget that. A lot of white women were slave owners. Don't think it was just Nicholas, Benjamin, you know what I'm saying? Todd. Don't think it was that. It was Joanna, it was Karen, it was Sarah, Elizabeth. No, I'm fine. She was a slave owner too. Go ahead, Ashar.
Concern. The implications of considering one human being as another person's property and bona fide are myriad of moral, psychological, political, economic topics that many would rather avoid talking about. You may even sympathize with them because these discussions are cumbersome. Apart from the near universe of repudiation of what was chattel slavery and its trade, there are still somewhat well-meaning people who have not come around to accepting how slavery has shaped modern America.
Right.
Consider sexual relationships between enslaved Africans and white people. Sally Hemings comes to mind. There are those who have sought to portray Hemings' relationship with the patriarch Thomas Jefferson as a loving relationship. This is in spite of the glaring fact that Hemings was Jefferson's literal property.
Now, if you go into the Sarah Hemings, you see you have the link. Real quick, I think it should show a picture of who it is.
Which link?
Right there with the name. You see where it says it? If you click
Sally
on
Hemings? Okay.
if you click on it, it's like a hyperlink. And another article should come up. I don't know if you see it.
Yes.
And it shows you a picture, I believe, of.
This is Harriet Hemings, Sally's granddaughter.
So I believe that's her under the picture. So you could go back. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted people to get who, you know what I'm saying, an image of who it was.
Concert. What may have been an attempt at pointing at the silver linen in slavery as if there were any, results in these silver linen seekers overlooking the social essence of property.
Mm-hmm.
Part of our society feels that incense needs to whitewash the ugliness
Right.
of white slave owners having sexual relations with enslaved black women.
Read that again.
Concern. Part of our society feels the incessant need to whitewash the ugliness of white slave owners having sexual relations with enslaved black women.
Right. It says part of our society feels the instant to need to whitewash the ugliness of white slave owners having sexual relationship with enslaved black women. Listen, they need to do all that. They're trying to, even to this day, they're trying to make it seem like we didn't do that. We were civilized. We didn't have sex with black women. And there's some out there that did that. And guess what? We stopped them. But then you have Martin Luther King. Keep going, Ashar.
Yes, sir. What proceeds from this whitewashing is collective amnesia over how young black women and girls have become constant sexualized images in the minds of those who hold power and influence.
Right.
The former slave, Harriet Jacobs, wrote for posterity in 1861 about the very foundation of the idea of the whorish black woman and incidents in the life of a slave girl.
That book again. That book that I bought out 2 times already. Keep going.
In contrast to black women who were considered whores is the idea of white women, especially in the antebellum South,
right,
who were seen as pure and virtuous.
That's seen as what?
Pure and virtuous.
Listen, they say what happened to the mic.
Salaki, sorry if they use the words pure and virtuous.
Yeah, pure, right.
And virtuous. You know, that's what they say that in the Bible.
Right, listen, the white woman is pure and virtuous. You leave it to the slave owner, you leave it to everybody else. You leave it to Martin Luther King. Listen, he loves white people. You leave it to Gandhi. They're the most civilized. Black people don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're missing here, man. You're supposed to come together with white people, with Europeans, and be civilized. The white woman is the most pure and virtuous. But keep going, Ashar. What does it say?
Concern. Southern women, especially of the plantation class, were the precious jewels of Southern culture.
Right.
In the thought of the times, they were to be taken care of by their men. Their supposed purity was linked to their sexuality and virtue, to their ability to maintain a home, according to traditional Southern Christian values.
Until what?
Traditional Southern Christian values.
Right. So they suppose purity was linked to their sexually and virtual to ability to maintain a home according to the traditional Southern Christian values. Don't forget whose values Martin Luther King had. He had Southern Christian values. Remember, his church started in Alabama. What was it, 1871? And a slave trader's den. Keep going, Ashar.
Go on, sir. They also existed to humanize their men. A social process best summarized by the Reverend William Hopper addressing women at the Sedgwick Female Seminary, North Carolina in 1847.
Right.
He quotes, "Leave men to themselves without the intermixture of a female society and the softening influence of a female modesty, gentleness, and affection, and they would infallibly become rude, harsh, coarse, quarrelsome, and in their quarrels cruel and unrelenting. The world would resemble an amphitheater of wild beasts."
Keep going.
Prudence, modesty, and restraint were expected of a white Southern woman. These were to make up for the believed inferiority in their intellectual capacity.
Keep going.
The idea that a white woman needed to be spatially and physically protected was why an enslaved black man could lose his life if found in an intimate relationship with her.
Right.
As with human nature, the fear of death never quite stops some from living dangerously. In this case, a white woman with not much to lose if found out would most likely initiate the affair.
Right. So now we about to get in the the thought process of Martin Luther King. Keep going.
Concern. The worst that could have happened to an upper-class Southern wife caught sleeping with an enslaved man was to be cast out of her social circles. Why then would they sleep with an enslaved man? The theories abound. Everything from Freudian justifications of fulfilling carnal desires and curiosities to good old love and romance has been propounded. Whatever the reason, there are documented allegations of relationships between white women who initiated their enslaved black men.
Right.
Captain Richard Hinton, a Union soldier in the Civil War, wrote as per Martha Hold's account, and he quotes, "I have never found a bright-looking colored man whose confidence I have won, who has not told me of instances where he has been compelled, either by his mistress or by white women of the same class, to have connection with them. In her narrative, too, Jacob recounted a story of a daughter of a plantation owner who got pregnant sleeping with a slave."
Right. So real quick, because you don't have to finish it, but the whole point of this, right, is to let you know that here they trying to let you think that white women was supposed to be pure and virtuous while they were whores. They was going around whoring, having sex with black men.
Right.
Ashar?
Growing up, I was that was still the thing, that white girls were whores.
Right. They always been whores. They still whores now. Then listen, they flourish being porno stars, OnlyFans, this and that. We just want to do it for free. I'm not saying we should do it, but listen, they make money with it. What we do? We do it because it's fun to do it. That should let you know how much they've been being whores. They're professional whores. But the point about this is that they're supposed to be the most virtuous and pure and civilized. But Martin Luther King knew that white women were whores. He knew that white women love black men. And guess what? What I gotta do? I gotta make sure blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians come together so I can have sex with white women all day. Because look, she's looking for it. It could be just for her sexual pleasure or for love. And Martin Luther King had to make sure his mission of bringing blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and white people together gotta be accomplished by all means necessary. Paratazar?
Salakia, sir, if I may.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a saying, you know, a lot of sisters were always saying, "Yo, what you think? I'm a white girl?"
Right. Listen, because we knew those we knew white women were whores. Harlots, Beckies, they would do whatever, they would do all types of crazy stuff. Come to school with no pajamas, the pajama day, with no drawers, no nothing, no. Just hop out the bed with no shower, no nothing. That's the Becky they want to deal with, right? Just brush their teeth with air. You know what I'm saying? But if I could, Ashar, go to the SD35.Senate.
Yes, I see it.
All right, go to that article, right? All right. So right here, right? Now we're about to get into it because all right, so right here, I don't know if you pull it up for people to see. We got Senator Stephen Bradford, right? Representing the 35th district, right? So this is the guy that Martin Luther King's church, right? The one that's ahead of his church now, the people, they hired this guy to try to stop the information to come out. Because if you don't know, there's information on Martin Luther King that's supposed to come out, I believe it's 2027. All the records the FBI has, all that, all the videos and audio, all that's supposed to come out. Now, this guy wants to stop all that stuff from coming out. And if you don't understand why, the whole point is to keep you delusional on the Martin Luther King that they want you to look at. And that's the one that loves everybody. The ones that wants little boys and little girls to come together if you white or black. And they don't want you to see the whorish and lustful bastard Martin Luther King from the audio tapes. The one that says he's the well, we're gonna get into it. The one that took bribe money. The one that watched a pastor damn near rape a sister because she didn't want to have anal sex with him. All that information, guess what, was gonna come out during 2027. And this man's job is to stop that from coming out. Because if you find out that Martin Luther King is a lustful bastard and somebody that's not capable to do what he said he wanted to do, to bring white people together, you know that was a lie. If you realize his plan was just to have sex with white women, then you know what might happen? You might start following someone like Malcolm X. You might start following someone, Marcus Garvey. Or you might start following a black man named Commander General YAHANNA at a I.S.U.P.K. at a 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York.
Right.
Maybe you might start following a brother on the corner who's been telling you for years to serve a God of the Bible, man. A God that's going to make sure a white man or a white woman doesn't destroy you or abuse you ever again. To make sure your brothers and sisters don't fall into a goddamn burning house that Martin Luther King done left us in, man. But if I could have, shall I read what you got?
Concern. Protecting Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
By Stephen Bradford.
It says what?
Protecting Martin Luther King Jr.
Remember, it says protecting Martin Luther King Jr. Keep going.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s death at the age of 39 in a murder committed more than 50 years ago by a penny anti-racist did not end his influence in changing the way we live in America.
Mm-hmm.
King came of age just shy of a century after the end of slavery. He lived and died at a time when our country was once again pondering how freedom and opportunity are different depending on the color of your skin. There are substantial reasons that King remains resonant. His letter from a Birmingham jail detailing how the future is written by those willing to take action speaks volumes about an activist's life.
Right. So real quick, before you keep going, remember this whole thing, he's trying to glorify how Martin Luther King is. So he's gonna try to look at all the things he has done, the things to try to benefit, to make black people look good, to make coming together with white and black people sound extraordinary and outrageous and a beautiful thing. Keep going, Ashar.
Yes, sir. His protests were unmatched for peaceful effectiveness, and his "I have a dream" moment at the March on Washington is American eloquence rivaled only by Lincoln at Gettysburg. King walked into the heart of Jim Crow, demanding change from those intransigent in their hatred. His courage was unquestioned, his method of nonviolence risky, and his unapologetic style dangerous. His place as a black martyr and a touchstone in history is reinforced by his crucial role in the passage of the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Housing Act, and his vocal approach to ending the war in Vietnam.
All right, so what you could do, right? Because he's going to go over a lot of different things. So I want you to drop all the way down where it says the FBI.
Yes,
because now he's going to try to discredit the FBI. It says the FBI has a long history.
The FBI has a long history of engaging in misinformation campaigns targeting black activism.
Mm-hmm.
And worse, counterintelligence that likely resulted in the killing of leadership in the Black Panther Party. If there was evidence of criminality on those tapes, Hoover would have swept in on King with the vengeance of pigeons armed to bring down an eagle.
And that is false. And the reason why, you gotta look at it like this, the reason why they, remember the FBI wanted the if you listen to some of the things they sent to King, they wanted to out King during that time, but it wouldn't have benefited white people. It wouldn't have benefited white supremacy, Ashar.
And this guy is blowing hot air because not once, living in Harlem where there's a bunch of hawks and pigeons,
right,
and watching the history in National Geographic, not once has any flock of pigeons ever come down on the eagle. That's just BS.
right.
He's speaking on his ass right here.
But that's the whole point. That's why he's saying, like, he's talking bad about the FBI. Like, they would have outed him a long time ago. That wasn't the plan. The plan was We want you to be most docile as possible. Because look how we look at Martin Luther King today. We look at him like, look, he was a great man. He did this and did that. He was a pastor. He spoke the will of God. He had dreams, and he was going to do this, and he did this and did that. And not realizing, if you really look at all the stuff they're going to bring out on him, you got to mind you, they have years and years of tapes of Martin Luther King. Ashar?
And a good slave doesn't fight back.
Right. Definitely, a good slave doesn't fight back, but they wanted you to take the illusion of what he is perceived during the TV. They didn't want you to see him, what he was saying behind closed doors or what he was doing behind closed doors. They didn't want you to see that. They didn't want you to hear that. That's why you think they fighting to destroy it now? Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. The tape should never have been made. The right to privacy is a sacrosanct, a core tenet of religious confession, and the exercising of our public franchise behind a polling booth curtain. The taping was an unconscionable then as it is now, and the vultures are not entitled to feed on the memory and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. It's like a sir. I mean, a lot of criminals are brought down because of tapings.
Right.
And this guy is saying that the tapings were unconscionable.
Right. Because they're despicable. Keep going, Ashar.
The parsing of every statement uttered in breezy conversations or secrets shared with confidants during times of stress are not meant to be part of the national discussion. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference sued to have the tapes destroyed.
Right.
The U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia decided instead that the tapes will be placed in the National Archives and sealed for 50 years until 2027.
There you go.
If the reasoning was that our society would be less inclined to be judgmental, or that King's place in the American consciousness would lessen, the court was wrong. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. matters to every black person living in California. That is why, as chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, I am authoring Senate Joint Resolution 7 with the support of my colleagues in the Black Caucus to urge the National Archives to destroy the FBI surveillance tapes. I will also be personally proposing the hiring of former Attorney General Eric Holder to petition again for their destruction.
All right, so you can stop there, right? So the whole point about this I wanted to bring up is them trying to destroy the tapes of Martin Luther King, of the things and the atrocities he did. His church hired this guy to do it, right? So they trying to stop all the information coming out before 2027. Now, let's go to the davidgarrow.com, right? Now, listen, a lot the stuff we about to read in here is crazy. And when you start listening and understanding why they want to destroy some of these tapes, you're gonna understand. You're gonna know why. You're gonna know why. Like, his legacy is gonna be tarnished if they don't destroy these tapes. If these tapes and audios and whatnot comes out, Martin Luther King and his image for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will be destroyed. And damn, it should be destroyed. The image of him coming together, well, us coming together with other nations, when we should be coming together with each other. We should love each other more. That's what it says in the scriptures, right? We should love each other more, and the hell with these other nations. Hell loving these other nations. But read what you got, Ashar.
Yes, sir.
I want you to take your time, but I want you to also go through it as fast as you can. All right?
Yes, sir.
Because it's 9 pages. We most likely ain't gonna finish all of it, but let's try to get through most of it. All right?
Let's go. Let's do it, sir.
Mm-hmm.
The troubling legacy of Martin Luther King. Newly revealed FBI documents portray the great civil rights leader as a sexual libertine who laughed as a forcible rape took place.
Right. Keep going.
By David J. Garrow.
Right. So real quick, this guy, David J. Garrow, right? He wrote this, I forget when, right? But he submitted it to a newspaper, and everybody was writing this guy, and he was catching so much flack because he was talking down about Martin Luther King when he didn't say anything about him. He's just saying what he heard, what he did. And mind you, this guy is like a award-winning writer. It's just like, it's not like he's no one that can't be creditable. This is supposed to be someone who's highly credible that you go to, and it was like, all right, he's bringing something out. He's a credible source. But he was bringing too much things out, was heavy on people's hearts. Go ahead, Ashar, read what you got.
Concern. Newly released documents reveal the full extent of the FBI surveillance of the civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King in the mid-1960s. They expose in graphic detail the FBI's intense focus on King's extensive extramarital sexual relationships with dozens of women, and also his presence in a Washington hotel room when a friend, a Baptist minister, allegedly raped one of his parishioners, while King looked on, laughed, and offered advice. The FBI's tape recording of that criminal assault still exists today, resting under court seal in a National Archives vault. The FBI documents also reveal how its director, J. Edgar Hoover, authorized top bureau officials to send Dr. King a tape recording of his sexual activities, along with an anonymous message encouraging him to take his own life.
Right.
The complete transcripts and surviving recordings are not due to be released until 2027. But when they are made fully available, a painful historical reckoning concerning King's personal conduct seems inevitable.
Keep going.
On January 31st, 1977, U.S. District Judge John Lewis Smith signed an extraordinary court order requiring the Federal Bureau of Investigation to surrender all the fruits of its extensive electronic surveillance of Martin Luther King to the National Archives. Excuse me. Said tapes and documents, Smith instructed, shall be maintained by the Archivist of the United States under seal for a period of 50 years or until January 31st, 2027.
And what's so funny, what's so crazy about this, because I spoke about it, just think about that date where it's going to be released. January 31st, 2027. What's the next day? Ashar?
Black History Month.
Black History Month. You want to learn some new Black history? Here's some tapes and audios of Martin Luther King. This is how deceitful this bastard is. He could have picked any other date, but he picked January 31st to out Martin Luther King in his audio tapes. Keep going, Ashar.
There's going to be a lot of history in that.
A lot of history.
However, in recent months, hundreds of never-before-seen FBI reports and surveillance summaries concerning King have silently slipped into public view on the archive's lightly annotated and difficult-to-explore website. This has occurred thanks to the provisions of the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act, which mandated the public release of tens of thousands of government documents, many of which got swept up into congressional investigations of U.S. intelligence agencies predating Judge Smith's order.
So you could thank President Trump for that. President Trump is the reason why we have some of these tapes out of Martin Luther King, because they was somewhat mixed in with John F. Kennedy's tapes and audio. So keep going, Ashar.
Concern. When knowing the new King items from amidst the archives 54602 web links, many of which lead to multi-document PDFs that are hundreds of pages long, entail weeks of painstaking work. The FBI began wiretaping King's home and Southern Christian Leadership Conference office in Atlanta on November 8, 1963. Pursuant to Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy's written approval.
Whose?
Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy's approval.
And whose brother is that?
John F. Kennedy.
Just think about that. They love John F. Kennedy. They don't realize John F. Kennedy's brother or nephew. What was it now? His brother? Yeah, Robert F. That's his brother, I believe. Sign that. So the person, the people, black people, listen, black people need to stop loving our oppressors so much. Next thing you know, that his brother or sister is going to sign the deaths of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian. Keep going, Ashar.
For the previous 18 months, the FBI had insistently told Kennedy that King's closet and most influential advisor, New York Attorney Stanley D. Levinson, was a secret member of the Communist Party USA. Kennedy's aides and finally his brother, the President of the United States, warned King to cease contact with Levinson. But King's promised compliance was dissembling. He and Levinson communicated indirectly through another attorney, Clarence Jones, who, like Levinson, was himself already being wiretapped by the FBI. Presented with evidence of King's duplicity, plus FBI claims that King had told Levinson that he was a Marxist, a reluctant attorney general approved the FBI's request to place King under direct surveillance too. Unbeknownst to Kennedy, part of the FBI's motivation in seeking to tap King stemmed from something he had learned just prior to the August 28th march on Washington.
Right.
When King had stayed at Jones' wiretap Bronx home to work on his soon-to-be famous "I Have a Dream" speech.
So read that again. What it says? What? Unbeknownst to Kennedy. Read that from that part.
Counselor. Unbeknownst to Kennedy, part of the FBI's motivation in seeking to tap King stemmed from what? Salagia. Unbeknownst to Kennedy, part of the FBI's motivation in seeking to tap King stemmed from something it had learned just prior to the August 28th march on Washington.
Right.
When King stayed at Jones' wiretapped Bronx home to work on his soon-to-be famous.
So remember this. So it's all started, the start listening to Martin Luther King because he stayed at a friend's house in the Bronx at that. Well, who was already being watched by the FBI. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. As one internal FBI memo reported, King, who is married, maintains intimate relationships with at least 3 women.
With what?
Maintains intimate relationships with at least 3 women.
Okay.
1 in Atlanta.
1 in Atlanta.
1 in Mount Vernon.
1 in Mount Vernon.
And 1 in Washington, D.C.
Keep going.
King's extramarital affairs while posing as a minister of the gospel leave him highly susceptible to coercion.
He leaves him what?
Highly susceptible to coercion
right.
and possible blackmail.
Listen, and the funny thing, they knew about it. They're like, listen, you leaving yourself open to blackmail. You have all these women. What are you doing? You don't just have one in the cut. You have all these women you sleeping with. Keep going, Ashar.
Concert. He was one of those guys that had different areas.
Listen, we're gonna get into it.
Concert. Presumably by knowledgeable communists, within weeks, the FBI's wiretap on King's Atlanta home confirmed the Bureau's expectations. On December 15th, King contacted a girlfriend by the name of Lizzie Bell, and the FBI mobilized to determine more background information regarding this girl. 6 days later, King was in contact with a girlfriend in Los Angeles, Dolores Evans, the wife of a black dentist.
The what?
The wife of a black dentist.
So he's having sex with somebody's wife, a black dentist at that. That brother, you guess what? He's sleeping with his wife, and he's loving it. Keep going, Ashar.
Concert. California agents were tasked to investigate Evans in connection with counterintelligence program, i.e., the Bureau's subsequently notorious COINTELPRO dirty trick playbook. That same day, King was in contact with another girlfriend. Keep going. Barbara Meredith, a member of his Ebenezer Baptist Church congregation. And a file was opened on Barbara Meredith in order to determine more information regarding her background and activities in connection with counterintelligence. Wiretap summaries like these were supposed to be sealed pursuant to Judge Smith's 1977 order, but by then the Department of Justice had forced the FBI to share many of its King records with the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Activities, often called the Church Committee, after the name of its chairman, Idaho Democrat Frank Church. In turn, all of the FBI's documents relating to the Church Committee and the subsequent House of Select Committee on Assassinations came to be covered by the 1992 Kennedy Assassination Records Act. In December 1963, the information from Atlanta wiretaps about King's expansive private life whetted the FBI's appetite for recordings more intrusive and graphic than could be obtained via telephone lines. Knowing how frequently King traveled to major U.S. cities, The FBI resolved to plant microphone bugs in his hotel rooms. In this endeavor, the prime decision maker was not longtime FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, but Assistant Director William C. Sullivan,
right,
head of the Domestic Intelligence Division. With Supreme Court oral arguments in case from Alabama, New York Times Co. v. Sullivan, in which 4 black clergy supporters of King plus the newspaper have been socked with a $500,000 state court judgment scheduled for January 6th and 7th, 1964. King and a variety of ministerial friends were scheduled to be in Washington, D.C. for a 3-night stay. Immediately after the new year, FBI Washington Field Office Security Supervisor Ludwig Oberndorf summoned the office's senior sound men, Special Agent Wilfred L. Bergeron, as well as Special Agent William Welch. The office's hotel contact man waiting in Oberndorf's assistant office was Assistant Director Sullivan, who told the assembled agents that the FBI interest in King was a national security matter on account of his communist contacts. Bergeron told church committee interviewers in another newly available document, Welch had ascertained that King and his party will be staying at the historic Willard Hotel on Pennsylvania Ave,
right,
just east of the White House. And Welch introduced Bergeron to a Willard manager who arranged for Bergeron to survey the rooms in question. Bergeron then placed a transmitter in each of the 2 lamps, and then through the hotel contact, it was arranged to have the housekeeper change the lamps in 2 rooms which had been set aside for King and his party. In 2 other nearby rooms, Bergeron and fellow Special Agent William D. Campbell set up radio receivers and tape recorders prior to when King and his friends first checked in on January 5th. Staying in one of the 2 target rooms was King's friend Logan Kearse, the pastor of Baltimore's Cornerstone Baptist Church, and like King, the holder of a PhD from the Boston University School of Theology.
Right. So there's another a pastor with him. Keep going.
Concert. Yep. Kearse had brought to Washington several women parishioners of his church.
Right.
A newly released summary document from Sullivan's personal file on King relates, and Kearse invited King and his friends to come in and meet the women. The group met in his room and discussed which women among the parishioners would be suitable for natural or unnatural sex acts.
Right. So letting you know, right there, letting you know, they invited a whole bunch of women into a room. Parishioners from the church, right? To see who would have sex regular and who have unnatural sex regular. That means anal sex, if you don't know. Keep going, Ashar.
When one of the women protested that she did not approve of this, the Baptist minister immediately and forcibly raped her. The type summary states, parenthetically citing a specific FBI document, 100-3-116-762.
Right. So real quick, right? This is how you know that he's not lying, because he's naming the actual goddamn number of the document of the FBI files. 2, this is let you know how evil our oppressor is too, because he's listening in on one of our, most likely our sister, getting raped, and he rather let someone get raped, possibly die, than to blow their cover on what else they could find of Martin Luther King. Remember, there's audio. Remember, there's gonna be audio of this. Audio that they don't want to come out. They know about this. They know how evil and lustful Martin Luther King was. You knew about it, but this right here tells you the details on the rape that he witnessed. Remember, it said he laughed and gave advice. Remember, this is the sinful bastard people want to follow. Ashar?
Poor Coretta.
Listen, not knowing nothing. Remember, he telling her to stay home. The kids too dangerous out there. Stay home with the kids. It's too dangerous because he having threesomes and foursomes and whoring and raping people, and he don't want her to find out. Keep going, Ashar.
Yes, sir. King looked on, laughed, and offered advice.
Right.
Sullivan or one of these deputies then handed in handwriting. While the claim appears only as an annotation, other similar marginalized more on this, e.g. more on this, one page prior suggests that Sullivan was seeking an expanded, more detailed indictment of King's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
The documents recently released final pages narrating events until March 30th, 1968, suggest that the unfinished revision was abandoned following King's assassination on April 4th. Without question, Sullivan and his aides had both the microphone transmitted tape recordings and a subsequent full transcript at hand while they were annotating their existing typescript. In 1977, Justice Department investigators would publicly attest to how their own review of both the tapes and the transcripts showed them to be genuine and accurate. Throughout the 1960s, when no precedent for public release of FBI documents existed or was even anticipated, Sullivan could not have imagined that his aides' jottings would ever see the light of day.
Drop down to where it says at the William Hotel. The word.
At the Willard Hotel, King and his friends activists resumed the following evenings as approximately 12 individuals participated in a sex orgy.
Right. So, all right. So, at another point, he's at a hotel. Right. Remember, everywhere he goes, he's fighting for. He's an activist. He's fighting for black rights. On top of the orgies he's having, and the sex and the rape and the whatever drugs he might be taking. He said, activist resembled the following: approximately 12 individuals partake in a sex orgy. Keep going.
Concern. Which the prudish Sullivan felt included acts of degeneracy and depravity.
Right.
When one of the women shied away from engaging in an unnatural act, King and several of the men discussed how she was to be taught and initiated in this respect.
So just to let y'all go, it's going to be a recurring things of them talking about unnatural ways of sex and this and that. Listen, this man was a booty bandit. If you don't know, him and his pastors, they had to do it the unnatural way. I had so much orgies of the natural way. I want the unnatural way. That's why there's so much rapes going on. Ashar?
And you can tell he was a homosexual.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King was a homosexual because for you to be in a room with other women,
not just women, men and women all together,
you're gay.
Yeah.
You're homosexual.
Absolutely. Keep going.
Concern. When Salakia King told her that to perform such an act would help your soul.
That's the man we dealing with. He said, if you do it this way, it's gonna help your soul. That sounds like a pastor. That sounds like these pastors of today, right? The ones that tell you to take off your underwear and take off this and let me pee on this or let me put my holy water on you,
Ashar. On your face.
Huh?
And spit on your face that recently just happened.
Right, absolutely. Before you keep going, let me get this real quick. Let me get Deuteronomy 13:1. The famous one, Deuteronomy 13:1. Real quick, because I know we're not gonna get through all the article.
We do part 2 next Saturday.
I mean, we could, but keep going.
Sir.
Deuteronomy chapter 13:1, verse 1.
Right.
If there arise among you a prophet,
right,
or a dreamer,
right,
of dreams,
and
giveth thee a sign or a wonder.
Right. Remember, it says, if there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams and giveth thee a sign or a wonder. Remember, Martin Luther King had dreams, man. He was giving signs and wonder to come, let's hang with white people. Let's come together and go to school with them. Love them. They're most civilized. Remember, he took on Gandhi's practices, his traditions. Remember, Gandhi loved some white people. They could do no wrong. Remember, Gandhi was a sexual deviant too. Keep going, Paratazar, if you can.
Come. Verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the signs, all the wonders come to pass. Thereof he spoke unto thee, saying, let us go of Salakia. Let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them.
Right. So basically, it's saying like if a prophet comes to you and a person with dreams and giving you signs and wonders, and he's prophesying and saying, listen, the sign told me that it's going to come to pass that we need to leave here and go serve these other gods. Damn, what's going on over here? Damn, the Most High God. We got to go here and we got to serve him. And guess what? It's going to make it better. If someone told you to go serve America, to go serve your European, to be civilized, guess what? You should not go follow that man. If that person that goes tell you to drop all the goods you have, drop all the black businesses, the hotels, the damn near or airports, the hospitals, the movie theaters. Goddamn, we had everything. If he's telling you, if someone is telling you God told you to drop that, to forget blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and go love all the other nations, guess what it says? Keep going, Paratazar.
Verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not hearken.
Y'all shall what?
Thou shalt not hearken.
So Martin Luther King, we should do what?
Not hearken. Unto the words of that prophet.
Listen, we shouldn't hearken to the words unto Martin Luther King because he doesn't know no better. He's a lustful bastard. The dream that he had was orgies and anal sex with nothing but white women. He wanted to just have sex with white women while he sees the other pastor rapes a sister, and then he's writing his "I Have a Dream" speech. That's what he was doing. Plus many, many more. We about to find out a quote that Martin Luther King said. But keep going, Paratazar.
Or that dreamer of dreams.
Right.
For the Lord your God provoke you to know whether ye love the Lord, whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
Right. So it's saying, thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Most High power proveth you to know whether you love the Lord thy God with all your heart and with all thy soul. Listen, he's going to put that person to see if you're going to love him. You going to love God or you going to go follow that prophet? Read verse 4.
Verse 4. Ye shall walk after the Lord your God.
Right. You should walk after the most High God. Keep going.
And fear him.
And what?
And fear him.
And what?
And fear him.
And should fear him. Keep going.
And keep his commandments.
Right.
And obey his voice.
Right.
And ye shall serve him.
Right. And you should serve him. Keep going.
And cleave unto him.
Right. Keep going.
Verse 5. And that prophet,
that Martin Luther King, that dreamer of dreams, the one that has sex orgies, the one that watch rapists, the one that takes his practices from slave white women and Gandhi. Keep going.
And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams,
right,
shall be put to death.
He should what?
Should be put to death.
Nah, should keep having orgies.
Should be put to death.
Should give advice on rapists.
Should be put to death.
He should be put to death, man. He shouldn't be alive to give his dreams of the dreamer of dreams. He shouldn't. He should be put to death. Keep going.
Because he hath spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God.
Right. He has spoken to turn you away from the Lord thy God. Keep going.
Which brought you out of the land of Egypt. And redeemed you out of the house of bondage. To thrust thee out. To thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God command thee to walk in.
Right.
So shall thou put the evil away from the midst of thee.
Yeah, man. Listen, and that's let you know you should not follow somebody who's going to turn you away from the Most High God. And remember, one of the ways someone's going to turn you away from the Lord is if they teaching you to stop loving Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. If they teaching you to stop loving your people, then maybe that person is not a man of God. If he's teaching you white Jesus or going out there and not caring for nobody but white privilege and white society, that man might be a dreamer of dreams, and he should be put to death by the Lord. If he's teaching you a whole bunch of things, if he's teaching you not to worry about your goddamn Gadite brothers, your Reubenite brothers on those goddamn reservations, man. Because let's not forget about our Gadite brothers and sisters out there. They out there on the reservations dying, out there suffering, and they need our help. Blacks, Hispanics, they need our help at most, like we need each other's help. Those brothers and sisters out there on the reservations, they need our help. I'm going to keep saying that because guess what? We forget about them. I'm saying Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians for a reason. Not just Blacks and Hispanics, but the goddamn Gadites, the Reubenites that was here in the Americas before us, man. Let's not forget about those people too, because they suffer just like how we suffer, man. But Shar, keep going with the go back to the article.
Yes, sir. All right, where did we leave off? Right here. King told her that to perform such an act will help your soul. Sometime later, in language that would reflect just how narrow Sullivan's mindset was, King announced that he preferred to perform unnatural acts on women, and that he had started the
wait. Now listen to Martin Luther King's quote, man. Censor it though, please. Read what you got.
Hold on, sir. Let me make this. I'm a highlight it.
Remember, listen. When you think this sounds like something I would hear a little baby would say or a little Wayne. Read what you got, Ashar.
Sir, I made it bigger so that way everyone can see. Okay, this should work. You're right here. Okay. It says, sometime later, in language that would reflect just how narrow Sullivan's mindset was, King announced that he preferred to perform unnatural acts on women, and that he had started the International Association for the Advancement of
Box eaters,
vagina eaters.
Listen, and that's Martin Luther King, man. This it's funny to me because it's like this is something I would hear today. I would hear this on a Vine, not a Vine or a TikTok or Instagram. I would see someone nowadays say something, but guess what? This came out of your active leader, man. Your black activist leader. Guess what? He's talking about. He's internationally known as the box eater out there, man. Ashar.
Now we know where Trump got grabbing by the box.
Yeah, listen. Not only that, no, that Trump's they're always like that. We know where Martin Luther King got it from. He got it from them. The lust of our oppressor. Our oppressor is like this. He goes around talking about he's internationally known and associated with eating the box. That you should call me. I should be known as this because guess why? Why he's saying that? Because he's letting you know that I have eaten a lot of boxes around here, man. And you should let me eat your box. You should let me eat your box because I done been around this country satisfying a lot of women. And I could satisfy you if you would just give in what the Lord wants you to get. Paratazar?
Salaki, so if I may, and you know he was messing with the white women. And you know how those white women are.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he learned it from.
Yeah, of course. Ashar, keep going.
Concern. Anyone familiar with King's often bawdy sense of humor would not doubt that quotation.
Listen, so that's letting you know, if you knew King, you knew he would say something like this. You knew he had this grotesque type of humor. That means he was saying sexual humor jokes all the time. This ain't nothing new. Paratazar?
In his church.
Right, in his church. Right. Remember, this is the pastor and friends and everybody, the parishioners, everybody knew about King and all this. Ashar?
At FBI headquarters, an aide to the Bureau's number 3 official, Alan H. Belmont, prepared a comprehensive summary of the Willard recordings. We do not contemplate dissemination of this information at this time, but will utilize it together with results of additional future coverage in our plan to expose King for what he is.
Right.
Hoover disagreed, instructing in his distinctive scrawl that White House liaison Cartha Dickey Loach should show the summary memo to Walter Jenkins, President Lyndon Johnson's top aide. Within 24 hours of King's return to Atlanta from the Willard, his wiretapped home phone gave the Bureau more raw material. King used a modest apartment at 3006 Delmar Lane Northwest, rented in the name of aide Fred Bennett as a hideaway, and there on January 8th, King met along with the woman to whom he had become closest. The SCLC citizenship education staffer Dorothy Cotton.
Real quick before we go on, and this right here lets you know. Remember, Hoover was like they disagreed. He disagreed on exposing King because there was a reason why. They didn't want to just expose him because then guess what? You stop Martin Luther King, guess what? Someone else steps up. Someone else steps up. They look after someone else. They look at someone else. Our people look at other people for being a savior. And this still goes on today. They don't want this information plus many more to come out. Keep going, Ashar.
Yes, sir. It says, 4 days later, King was in contact with another girlfriend in New York by the name of Effie, whom the FBI quickly identified. In early February, agents listened in as King's wife became upset and berated King for not spending enough time at home with her.
Read that again.
King's wife became upset and berated King for not spending enough time at home with her.
Right.
This happened at a time when King was at Fred Bennett's apartment, and the wiretap indicated he had Dorothy Cotton in the apartment alone with him.
Yeah, listen, his wife is banging him to stay at home with to have some quality time, and he's at someone else's house banging out another girl, bringing out someone's probably wife or a whore, or someone in his church. I forget who they say Dorothy Cotton was, but listen, the point about it is King was doing everything he could to have sex with multiple women. Keep going, Ashar.
The Atlanta wiretaps kept the FBI fully apprised of King's upcoming travels, and in mid-February, King, SCLC aide Wyatt Walker, and Baltimore's Reverend Kearse all flew to Honolulu to rendezvous with Dolores Evans and at least one other woman.
See, look, he going to Honolulu with just everybody. Go ahead, Ashar.
A sound squad from the Bureau's San Francisco office with microphones already in place awaited them at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. But King's party tired of Honolulu within 72 hours and flew to Los Angeles, where they spent one night at the Ambassador Hotel before moving to the Hyatt House.
And you know what's funny? It's like real quick. When I read this part, I think about that picture when he has the lays over his head, and he's taking picture with the
Asian and the white woman.
Right. I think of that. I don't know if that picture is authentic or not, but if it is, that's what I think of. I think of that picture and him landing in Hawaii, throwing the lays on him because he know he about to have sex with multiple women. Paratazar?
Salaki, so if I may, they have another picture out there. It's his wife and his mother.
Right.
And he's in between them with the smoker's jacket.
Right.
And the legs crossed like he's a pimp.
Yeah, I bet.
That's serious.
Ashar?
Yes, sir. It says, but King's party tired of Honolulu within 72 hours and flew to Los Angeles, where they spent one night at the Ambassador Hotel before moving to the Hyatt House near Los Angeles Airport, where another squad of FBI agents quickly deployed in room microphones while standing by to carry out photographic surveillance in public areas as well. On February 23rd, they snapped pictures of Wyatt Walker, Dolores Sheffy, Dorothy Boswell, and Martin Luther King Jr., and Dolores Evans. The following day, they filmed movie footage of King and Evans at the Hyatt House. Assistant Director Sullivan himself telephoned the Los Angeles office for updates, with the special agent in charge, explaining that television noise plus jet planes made for less than ideal audio recordings. Los Angeles also notified Sullivan that Evans and her husband, Theodore, are both scheduled to appear in court on March 4th, 1964, concerning the granting of the interlocutory decree of divorce.
Mm-hmm. So now we're about to get into something else. Money. Keep going.
Back in Atlanta, the SCLC office wiretap memorialized King's friend Barbara Meredith, recounting how at a small party King got very drunk and made uncomplimentary remarks about some of the SCLC personnel. At FBI headquarters, desire for comprehensive scrutiny of King led to a tardy discovery that would have received far more attention had not executives become so preoccupied with King's personal life. Supervisor Seymour Fred Phillips, who had direct charge of the King's case, recommended to Sullivan that they obtain King's tax returns from the Internal Revenue Service. And when King's IRS file arrived in mid-March, it contained a previously unreported bombshell. In 1957 and 1958, Stanley Levinson, who had first met King only at the very end of 1956, had arranged for King to receive a total of $10,000 in cash gifts, the equivalent of $87,000 in 2019.
So listen, he's getting a cash gift of $87,000. Keep going.
From himself and a close friend, 70-year-old Alice Rosenstein Lowy. In early 1961, the IRS has subjected King's late 1950s return to investigative scrutiny and determined that he owed an additional $1,556.02, but had no fraudulent intent. In April 1961, King Levinson and Chicago attorney Chauncey Eskridge, himself a former IRS agent, had met with an IRS investigator, but only in response to subsequent questions regarding adjustments in King's income.
Right.
Did King say that he had received $5,000 in each of those 2 calendar years? This sounded like a complete fabrication. The investigator opened in December 12, 1961 memo. And seeing this information for the first time, more than 2 years later, J. Edgar Hoover asked, doesn't IRS intend to take some action? No, a liaison agent reported, but King's current income tax return will be scrutinized very carefully to determine whether any violations appear. Hoover responded, what a farce. Phillips prepared an unremarkable memo to Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, reporting the new IRS information, but only in the 5th paragraph on page 2 was Levinson's responsibility for the $10,000 in gift income to King finally cited. In retrospect, the FBI's failure to highlight Levinson's remarkable munificence towards his new friend is almost as startling as its failure to similarly emphasize to King how those gifts had taken place simultaneously with Levinson's ongoing contributions to the Communist Party. Levinson's substantial involvement in the CPUSA fundraising through 1956, along with that of his twin brother Roy Bennett, had long been known, but the FBI documents emphasize how, as of January 1957, Stanley Levinson and Roy Bennett were to become inactive in CP financial
you could drop that. You could go all the way back down, right? If you go down to the next paragraph, right there is going to just give you numbers of how much money they were making in certain times, right? So if you drop down, go by where it says Agent William H. Ben.
Okay. Got it, sir.
Read that.
Agent William H. Ben had heard rumors that King had patronized a local prostitute and decided that given King's position as a God-fearing man of the cloth, perhaps a casual inquiry made to the prostitute in question might shed an interesting side light to King's extracurricular activities. At 3 a.m. on May 16th, Ben met Gail LaRue, a married 20-year-old who had left 4 children from a prior marriage in Sheridan, Wyoming. Gail explained that at 2 a.m. on April 27th, a hotel bellman had asked her to go to the New Frontier Hotel and see the well-known black gospel musician Clara Wood, whose Clara Wood singers were performing there. In the lobby, Ward handed Gail $100 and told her, I have a couple of friends in town that would like to meet you and have you take care of them.
Couple of friends. Keep going.
Who said, sir?
I said a couple of friends.
Yes. Ward said she was paying Gail because these 2 men did not believe in paying a girl for her service and for Gail to keep quiet about receiving any money. Clara took Gail to the bar at the Sands Hotel and made a call on the house phone. Martin Luther King then appeared in the bar and took both women to his room.
So So he appeared and took both women to the room. He said, I need both these women. Go ahead, Ashar.
To his room.
Right.
Where all 3 began drinking. King phoned one of his colleagues.
He did what?
King phoned one of his colleagues.
He did what?
Phoned one of his colleagues. And told him to get your damn ass down here because I have a beautiful white broad here.
Oh, man. Read that again.
Concern. I'm going to highlight it for everyone
This is Martin Luther King, man. He got drunk. That's like me calling you. Yo, Ashar, man, you won't believe. Yo, I got white bros in here. I'm saying the clean version. But I'm like, yo, nigga, if you don't come down here, I got white in the crib, man. We drink. Where are you? That's your love. That's your love. The person you love, the activist you love that wanted to bring white people and black people together, but he left out the whores. He left out the white whores and the black whores and the rapists and all whatnot and the money and the bribes and the thousands of dollars he was getting from communists. He left that part out. But he wanted y'all to get together with white and blacks and together and destroy all your black businesses while he's having a time in his life. He going to Vegas and Hawaii and back and forth and this, having sex with her and him, 2 women, calling his friend, yo, I got white broads. He remembered to say, I got white broads. Not any old women. I got white women in the room, man. Where are you? That is a disgustful bastard, man. lustful, disgustful bastard. And that's what his legacy needs to be tarnished. His legacy needs to be tarnished and showed to our people so they could get out of this goddamn dream that he puts us in. He got us in this goddamn dream that thinking that, listen, all white people can't be bad. All white people ain't bad. Some of them love. Oh, that might be true. Some of them might love you, but guess what? They're all the devil. They're all the devil that the Bible speaks of. And because of that, they all got to suffer. They all got to suffer. Just like how we all had to be part of this goddamn dream of Martin Luther King. I know some people didn't want to be a part of this dream during that time that he's talking about. Malcolm X damn sure didn't want to be a part of MLK's dream. Malcolm X was on something else. But yet, guess what? He got sucked into this goddamn dream too with the rest of us. Paratazar?
Yes, sir. Salaki, sir, if I may. Even Adam Clayton Powell was speaking up against Martin Luther King about that so-called dream.
Right, absolutely. And if I could real quick, give me go to Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 20, real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 20. Shall I read it?
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 20.
Right.
But the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name,
right,
which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die.
Right. So it says, but the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak. Listen, if a man out there is speaking in the name of God, and God ain't put him in that authority to speak in his name, what will happen to Shar?
Even that prophet shall die.
Yeah, even that prophet shall die, man. That prophet that wants you to go serve other gods, guess what? He should die. He should be put to death. A one that the Most High didn't command him to speak. Remember, this is a person that said, listen, God gave me this dream. I have a dream. I have a vision. I have a prophecy to tell you that little white boys and little white girls and black boys and black girls will have a time of their life and go to school together on top of the mountains and do this and that while he's in the room with his brother smoking or drinking well, I got the white women up here, yo. I got the white women up here. Where are you? Yo.
It's about to go down
right.
In room 301.
Winthrop, where are you? Chauncey? He's in there about to have a time in his life writing I have a dream speech while having sex right afterwards because he doesn't believe in anything. He's leaving you to other gods while he's having the time of his life. Guess what? That prophet should be put to death, man. Keep going, Ashar.
Verse 21. And if thou say in thy heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord hath not spoken?
Right.
Verse 22. When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord,
right,
if the thing follow not, nor come to pass,
right,
that is the thing which the Lord hath not spoken,
right,
but the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously,
right,
thou shalt not be afraid of him.
Listen, man, and that's how you gonna know who's the man of God, man. A man of God, remember, first of all, a man of God follows the Lord's statutes and commandments. So anything where someone tells you to go branch off to other nations, you should already know he's not a man of God. But if a man of God follows the Lord's statutes and commandments, and he's telling you visions and dreams, and he's telling you things, what to do, guess what? You wait till it comes to pass, and guess what? That's a man of God. That is a man of God, and it's telling you, thou shalt not be afraid of him. Don't be afraid of the things that this man of God is telling you. If Commander General YAHANNA tells you to take the goddamn shot, guess what? Take the shot. Don't be afraid. You know why? It might be beneficial to you. It just might. If he's telling you to come together with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to give out food and water and clothes and things because our brother is less fortunate out there and it's cold as hell, guess what? You don't be afraid of that man. Don't be afraid of him. If we have to go to the goddamn end of Mexico, into South America, into goddamn Madagascar to save a fallen black man, guess what? Don't be afraid of what that prophet is telling to you. Because why? He is a man of God. Right. He's not going to leave you into nowhere wrong. Where if you follow that man that's not of God and God did not appoint him, you might listen to him and it might be sweet and nice and easy to do, but you're leaving your people into a burning building to die. A closed burning building at that, where he closes the door right behind you, and where he's going? To the hotel to have sex with a whore, man. If I could drop that, give me real quick. Give me Acts chapter 2, verse 17.
Concert.
Acts chapter 2, verse 17, real quick. And then we're going back to the article.
You said?
Yeah, Acts chapter 2, verse 17.
Come on, Concert. Acts chapter 2, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith God,
right?
I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh.
Right.
And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
Right. Listen, it's letting you, this is the time that we're in now. And if you go up real quick, it says in 16, but this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. So this is letting you know what Joel said. Joel says that it shall come to pass in the last days. Remember, we in the goddamn last days. The last days since Christ damn left. It said, it shall come to pass in the last days, which God, or saith God, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Listen, in these days, we're going to start prophesying about God. We're going to start prophesying about coming back to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and gathering together to love each other once again. We're going to start following the Lord's statutes and commandments. We're going to throw away the whorish behavior of Babylon. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
Uh-huh.
And your young men shall see visions.
Uh-huh.
And your old men shall dream dreams.
Listen, and this is where you're gonna realize who should dream dreams. It says, a young man shall see visions, and your old man shall dream dreams. But the dreams that these old men are seeing is not coming together with so-called your oppressor. The dreams that this old man might be seeing is putting him in goddamn chains, man. Making sure, guess what? The kingdom is built with gold and brass and silver and gems and rubies and sapphires. You know why? Because it belongs to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's right. To make sure that the gates are sturdy and built right and not fall on any so-called black, Hispanic, or Native Indian child's head. We got to make sure the kingdom is built right and sturdy. And guess who's going to do it? Our oppressor is going to do it. And that's a dream that we could all dream about. That's the dream you should want to dream. But that's not what Martin Luther King was telling y'all to do. He was telling us to do the complete opposite. He was telling us, you know what? Destroy the kingdom. We have a kingdom right here in Babylon. Right. The whore. But the problem is Martin Luther King was having sex with the whore in Babylon. He loved it to the very end. And that was the problem. He loved Babylon more than he loved wisdom, man. That he loved the Lord's statutes and commandments. And guess what happened? He had put to death because of the things that he was doing. But keep going with the article, Ashar, real quick.
Concert.
Or what we could continue.
Bring it back up for you. All right, here we go.
Right.
King phoned one of his colleagues and told him to get your damn ass down here.
Right.
Because I have a beautiful white broad here. Then both the Rev King and Clara Ward stripped naked and told Gail to do the same.
Read that again real quick. He did. What happened?
Then both the Reverend King and Clara Ward stripped naked and told Gail to do the same.
Listen, he called his boys like, where are you? Well, I'm about to get naked with these whores. So he got stripped naked with both of them. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. With Gail seated in a chair, King went down on his knees and started nibbling on her right breast, while Clara Wood did the same with her left breast. Gail then stated, I guess the Reverend got tired of that and put his head down between my legs and started nibbling on that. After a while, he got up and told Clara Ward to try some of it. So Clara went down on Gail for a while. Gail stated, I think Clara Ward is queer. Then King had intercourse with Gail while Clara watched. After what Gail stated seemed like hours, King rolled off and had another drink, then climbed back on for a second go-around. After King paused again, his friend showed up, had a drink.
Wait. Stop real quick. This is letting you know, listen, to Martin Luther King, his friends took too long. Y'all taking too long. I'm about to get started. Y'all not here. That's the mentality. This is the lustful bastard we deal with. This is who you want to recognize every February in Black History Month. This man. But yet we get talked down about Commanding General YAHANNA. You get talked down about a black man who wants to save all of us. But yet you uplift Martin Luther King where he don't give a damn about you. You think he's in a room trying to figure out the next plan on how we could have blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians and white people get along and come up with a plan for the politician and the governors could make a deal. Well, nah, that's not nothing. None of that. Listen, he's Martin Luther King by day and he's Orgy Money Mike at night. He out there having sex multiple times. Keep going, Ashar.
This shit is crazy. Slack it, sir. Let me go back. It said, after King paused again, his friend showed up, had a drink, and had intercourse with Gail, while both Clara Ward and the Rev King watched the action from a close-by position.
So look, now he watching other people do it. This is the lustful bastard. This is the practices of Gandhi right here showing. Keep going, Ashar.
Concern. With Clara sometimes stroking Gail as well. Gail then stated that she was getting scared as they were pretty drunk and all using filthy language. And at last she told Clara Ward she would have to go. Clara informed King, who then whispered in Gail's ear, I would like to try you sometime again if I could get you away from Clara. Ben wrote that Gail stated to this investigator that was the worst orgy I have ever gone through. And added that she had declined a subsequent request from Clara Ward to get together again. Ben's 3-page memo made its way to the FBI's Las Vegas SAC, who had it retyped and labeled secret for direct transmission to J. Edgar Hoover. On May 23rd, Ben conducted a follow-up interview with Gail and passed the additional information to bureau agents 2 days later. Gail volunteered that both King and his friend had each asked her to perform oral sex on them with the words, here, eat this, which she claimed not to have done, but Ben was dubious, telling the FBI that Gail was not too empathetic in her denial. And yet another direct report to Hoover, this one labeled top secret, Las Vegas agents reported that a paramour of King's from the Las Vegas agents reported that a paramour of King's from Los Angeles, Dolores Castillo, was known to have spent some time in King's suite around midnight, April 26, prior to King's early morning assignation with Gail LaRue and Clara Ward. Surprisingly, in late May, the wiretap on King's home telephone overheard a conversation in which King and his wife had an argument, and information was brought out concerning King's extramarital activities. Like, so if I may, if this is true, right, then that would then Coretta Scott King would have to renege the statement she made. I remember not too long ago, her and her daughter came out saying that it was a lie about Martin Luther King cheating on his wife and whatnot. She would have to renege that.
Oh yeah,
she was lying.
Because you gotta remember, and all of it is, remember his image. His image cannot be tarnished, because at the end of the day, for everybody, it's bigger than Martin Luther King and the things that he was doing. It was for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come together with white people and then be loved, to make sure nothing happens to them, because guess what? We're gonna be civilized now. We're gonna be privileged to be with white people now. So we can't mess up that tarnish. We can't have everybody thinking that he didn't give a damn. And the reason why he wanted to get together with white people is to have sex with them, to be a whore, to get money from communists and tour America. Paratazar.
Salakia, sir, if I may, and you said it was bigger than him. It was for America.
Right.
It was for America.
Right. Keep going to show real quick.
Come on, sir.
Finish up with the paragraph.
It says, at headquarters, Supervisor Phillips expressed displeasure that Atlanta agents had waited 48 hours before reporting what they had heard and instructed them to furnish the Bureau by communication marked for the personal attention of Assistant Director William C. Sullivan.
Right.
Any tape available concerning the reported conversation or the most detailed transcript available. Atlanta case agent Bob Nichols quickly sent the tape explaining that the pronouns he and she used by both parties made it impossible to know the identities of the individuals to whom they are making reference. Sullivan himself later wrote that Coretta King had told her husband that he was not fulfilling his marital responsibilities, and that if he spent 10 hours a month at home, this would be an exaggeration. Sullivan added that King told her she should go out and have some sexual affairs of her own.
Oh, man. You know what? We're going to stop it right there because it goes in another paragraph, right? But for the last scripture, right? Let me get Romans chapter 8, verse 35. And the funny thing is, I don't want to say funny, but that's letting you know that's the man we was dealing with. And that's just, what was it, like page 3? We got like 6 more pages of just stuff like that, of quotes like that. Like, listen, Martin Luther King it was absolutely disgusting.
It's like, sir.
Yeah,
I'm about to make a new TikTok and be banned tomorrow after tonight. This is ridiculous.
I know it's ridiculous
and shameful.
It is shameful. It is.
May I have the chapter again, sir?
Romans chapter 8, verse 35. And we're going to finish off with this scripture.
Verse 35.
Yeah, Romans chapter 8, verse 35.
You got it, sir. Romans chapter 8, verse 35.
Right.
Who shall separate us from the love of Christ?
Right. So it's saying, who should separate us from the love of Christ? Keep going.
Shall tribulation or distress,
right,
or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword?
Right. So right here is letting you know who should separate us from the love of Christ. So all that is reading, shall tribulation, distress, persecution, famine, nakedness, or prevail, or sword. Listen, this is letting you know, can anything separate us from the love of Christ? Can Martin Luther King separate you from the love of Christ? Can a whore that is getting naked with another whore and that's having sex with somebody, that's enticing you, matter of fact, can that stop you from the love of Christ? Can you coming together with your oppressor stop you from loving Christ? Because guess what? Christ taught about separation. Christ did not want to be a part of this so-called world. He said, I quote, love not the world, right? Love not the world. Don't give your love to this world. He talks about if the world had loved you, they would have loved me. So it's saying, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Who's going to separate us from Christ? Keep going. Read verse 36.
Concern. Verse 36. As it is written, For thy sake we are killed all the day long.
Right.
We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter.
Right.
Verse 37. Nay,
Uh-huh.
in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us.
Listen, we are conquerors when we serve Christ, man. When we serve Christ and keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, and guess what? And walk the way Christ walked, and guess what? There ain't nothing gonna stop us from serving him. And when you serve him, guess what? You serve the Most High God, man. Because Christ taught to do what? Serve the Father that's which in heaven. And if you serve the Father in heaven, you would know that he's a man of war. And when you're in a man of war, you know there's a time and place for everything. And now is a time for gathering together and loving your brother like you love yourself. And it's time to put down all the things that Babylon teaches you the love. And Babylon, I mean, AKA Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King tells you to do what? Love whores, love hookers, drink all the time. Go out there and be the best box eater you can to a whore. Curse, do all types of things. Don't care about your family. Don't care about your friends, your family, your loved ones. Tell your wife to go out there and have sex with someone else. That's the type of stuff that Babylon teaches you to do, man. The people that's so-called civilized and know better, that's pure and virtue, that's what they teaching you to do, Paratazar.
And also, he tell you, go follow a man that's sleeping with his great-great-granddaughter.
Right. Gandhi, he listen, to try to abstain for having sex, he wanted to test himself out with sleeping with his great niece, I believe, his grand niece. That's what the love of Europeans would teach you to do. The love of your oppressor, guess what? It's going to turn you away from God. But when you love Christ, guess what? You're going to be a conqueror, man. It's a conqueror through him that loved us. Keep going, Ashar.
Verse 38.
Mm-hmm.
For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come.
Uh-huh.
Verse 39. No height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God.
Right.
Which is in Christ Jesus our Lord.
Listen, man, and that's powerful, man. That's how much of a conqueror you would be if you serve Christ. It's saying that if you serve Christ, ain't nothing's gonna persuade you. No death, no life, no goddamn, no angel, no principalities, no powers, no things present, no things to come. That means no things right now or no things that we might come that might happen to us in the future. Nothing is gonna stop us from loving God, man. Nothing. And that's what the type of attitude we should have. That's what we should be fighting for. We should not be fighting for the legacy of Martin Luther King. Let his legacy die, man. Let it go out with the whores that he wanted to be with. Let it die out with the money he got. And guess what he did with it? He ain't spend it on black people, did he? It sounded like he went around the world cruising, having sex with all types of whores he can. Because if you reading it, look, goddamn, Ashar, how much hotels he was going to day?
It's stated, we read about at least 5 or 6 different hotels.
Listen, that's money. That ain't cheap. He going to Hawaii. Remember, there's plane tickets too. He's going to, and it's not just him, it's him and his friends or pastors or parishioners, whatever it's called.
And what is he eating? What is he wearing?
Yeah, listen, he's going to Hawaii, damn near Atlanta, Alabama, whatever he's having his about to say his next speech, the night before and the night of, he's having sex with that white woman. He's having sex with chlamydia and gonorrhea and herpes and HIV. He's having sex with all those lovely people, man. Ashar?
He must have been having a dream about what he was going to do later that
night.
Yeah,
listen, that the dreams of dreams that man must have had, man. But the scriptures let you know, you being a conqueror for Christ, ain't nothing gonna stop you, man. Ain't nothing on this goddamn earth is gonna separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ our Lord, our master, man. And this is why it's important why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians need to read the Bible. Don't listen to no some pastor in the church tell you what's going on, because the next pastor, the next so-called Martin Luther King, you know what he's going to tell you? He's going to tell you, listen, now we have to, listen, we came together, we did Martin Luther King's dream, now we have to do my dream. And my dream says that we have to come together and go to Africa. We have to go to Africa and go down there and meet our brothers. And guess what's going to happen? You knuckleheads will go down to Africa and be slaves to the Africans too. You will be down there, and these African tribes, while they beat you over the head, while the land that you think that's supposed to be yours is theirs, and they're renting it out to you. And guess what? You still a goddamn slave. So if you want to get free out of this goddamn oppression, you know you should do? You should follow a man called Commanding General YAHANNA. Right. Follow that man, and you guess what? The next thing is going to come is the kingdom of heaven, and Christ our Lord is going to come down here and give you the gift of all gifts, and that is the able to put your oppressor in chains, man. Right. Make sure, guess what? There ain't no more whoredom and here in the land of God's land at that. Because guess what? The world belongs to the Most High God. And he gave that world to you to rule over. And because of that, we have to make sure that it's at its purest, that it's at its cleanest, that the skies are clear as day, that you can see the goddamn stars at night. And the only way we're going to get that job done is if this oppressor falls, man. The Babylon, the whore, she got to die of HIV, man. She got to die of gonorrhea. She got to die. And that gonorrhea is going to be Christ and the angels. That's the only way for a whore to learn their lesson, is to get something that's uncurable. That's the only way a whore is going to stop being a whore. She got to get something that she's going to die of, that's guaranteed she's going to die. And that is what's Christ for, to kill that whore that's guaranteed. And guess what's going to come up? A nice, beautiful, righteous sister. A nice, beautiful, righteous daughter of Jerusalem, which is the 12 tribes of Israel. And well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to make sure that everything is so pure and virtuous, so Blacks and Spaniards and Native Indians can walk around. You can walk around and enjoy life and don't have to worry about your money being taken away or Martin Luther King having sex in your basement, bringing whores over, or anybody else bringing whores over. You won't have to worry about that ever again. But it all starts with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians coming together, talk your differences out. Come on, man, do it. You do it for any other day, right? We do it for holidays. We do it for Thanksgiving. Hell, you're going to do it next month for Black History when you bring this Negro up. When you bring this Negro up, this lustful bastard and his legacy up, I hope you bring up that damn quote we said. If you could read it one more time, Ashar, if you could read the quote one more time. Next month, I better hear when you bastards bring this quote up. I want to hear I have a dream speech. I want to hear you say this. I want to hear what came out his mouth. He's the internationally associated box eater. You better say that. You better put that in his goddamn legacy. You better say that. You better talk about how he gave advice to a sister that was being raped. How about he called his homeboys down to have sex with these white women? What's taking you so long? Where are you? I'm here butt naked waiting for y'all. You know what? I'm about to get started. When y'all here, just knock at the door. I hope y'all bring that up next month when you bring up this bastard, but I bet you don't. You want to continue his dream.
Right here, sir.
Go ahead, read that real quick, Ashar.
It says, I'll make it full screen so everyone can see. King announced that he preferred to perform unnatural acts on women and that he has started the International Association for the Advancement of Box Eaters.
Listen, I hope y'all see this. Yeah, take a screenshot of that and put that on Facebook for Black History Month. When you hear Martin Luther King, screenshot that and save it. When they want to say Martin Luther King was a righteous man, he was a good man, a man of God. Well, make sure you put this down here. He was doing that to hookers and whores and white women, man. You can put that down, Ashar. Make sure you bring that up and don't ever have something come out evil out of your mouth about commanding Jeremy YAHANNA ever again, man. Well, you got this man talking about he eating box. He eating box of all types of international whores, man. International whores.
And he was the CEO, the chairman.
Right. He the CEO of doing it. But with that, we the I.S.U.P.K coming out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been doing this since 1969, letting the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians know that you are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And like always, we have prison programs, we have food drives, we have a GED program, we have counseling, we have classes Monday through Sunday, man. So there's always a day where you're going to get this truth. Monday through goddamn Sunday. Anything else, Ashar, you want to add?
Pay your tithes.
Right.
10% of every increase the Lord gives you belongs to the Lord. So make sure you pay your tithes to commend Jeremy YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K. Don't forget that the Passover, the 53rd Lord's annual Passover is April 15th in Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Right.
Don't worry, you're going to play the commercial in just a few minutes. And if you can't remember April 15th, make sure you get an I.S.U.P.K 2022 calendar because the date is already saved there for you.
Right. Absolutely, man. And after and before we go, remember tomorrow is Let It Be Known.
Right.
Let it be known. 4 to 6 o'clock. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. Same building. Same people, same truth. Ain't nothing changed. We ain't gonna be doing whores like Martin Luther King. We gonna be out here letting it be known for so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Go ahead, Paradas, before we leave.
Slakia, sir, if I may, and there will not be no white women here.
Right, absolutely no white women calling our boys. Oh, listen, man, we got white women at the school. Where are you? Before the show starts. But with that, shalom, Israel.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare.
I.S.U.P.K.
Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua broke a thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar the thumb Bashim Yahushua to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Shargapon.
And I'm Trooper Azarakia.
And right here, we have the official calendar of the Lord, the I.S.U.P.K 2022 calendar. Now, this has all the high holy days and feast days of the Lord. In the month of February, starting on the 14th, ending on the 15th, we have Purim. Now, we move forward a little bit to the month of April. On April 15th, we have the Passover. And then 7 days after that, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, as you can see right here. This calendar has no American heathen holidays on it, just the high holy days and feast days of the Lord. And if we go to the last page, we have an advertisement available for any black and brown business that you may have. All right? So if you want to promote your business on the I.S.U.P.K 2022 calendar, give us a call. I'm Officer Shargapon. This is Trooper Azarakia. You can contact us at 845-664-3132 or on email. That's onewestashargapon@gmail.com. That's ONEWESTASHARGAPAN@gmail.com. Don't forget, get your calendar today. Shalom.
Shalom.
I.S.U.P.K. 53rd Annual Lord Passover.
53rd Annual Lord's Passover is going to be held down here in Florida.
It's going down.
You are here tonight to get a chance to be righteous enough to be worthy of God. Come on, to save you and your
That's right.
It's going down. The Lord's 53rd Annual Passover.
When we say we no cowards, we talk that business. We no cowards up in here.
Book your hotels now at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, the IHG Hotel, 301 Tucker Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, 32926.
Here's a lot of men down. You dealing with the menopause. We at war. I sided with the Lord cause.
Comes with all your dishes, pots, pans, forks, knives.
I got a like this. This is like an apartment in a hotel. You know what I mean? Yeah.
This here right here is about to be holy ground. This is going to be holy ground. All our beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters from all over the world. You understand? We can boast that now. Brothers and sisters coming not only from every state, but from all over the world. I heard the numbers this year is ridiculous. We had to buy out the whole hotel.
Friday, April 15th at the Space Coast Convention Center.
My cap undefeated. You cannot debate. You just want the clout. We just want the grades. I'm just trying to get it.
This is going to be glorious.
We don't give a fuck. You can see it in our faces. Got it out the mud. Straight up out the base.